Pastor Farrell asked me to speak on this topic, preparing my heart for worship, I started out being surprised. I would have said I prepare my head for worship, but now I agree that that really misses something important. So here's what I do. I start each day with the devotions from Christ in Our Home. These books are out in the narthex. And every week, the last 4 devotions are devoted to the 4 readings that are going to be in the Sunday service. And to help myself stay centered, I read both the Bible reading and the devotion aloud. It helps me concentrate. Then I write out the prayer from the bottom of the page in my devotion notebook, which I have. See, I've been using this for a long time. Beyond that, I write about events of the previous day and plans for this day and how things worked out and how that seems to be doing what I need to do in this world. And finally, I write out a prayer based on ACTS, which helps me because I do adoration, confession, thanksgiving, and supplication. And I hope that's influenced by the readings of the day. This really does help me keep centered. And I read somewhere, if your day is hemmed with prayer, it's less likely to unravel. And that seems true to me. I pay attention to the weekly email from Pastor Farrell with the bulletin and usually some clue about where the emphasis of the weekend will point, starting with the front cover. And you can see here he's got worship with a heart for the O. That's also, I follow several other devotion sources, primarily Lutheran, which also put their spin on the week's intention. All of this helps my head work on what the message of the week may be. Today in Sunday school, we wrapped up discussing We Make the Road by Walking, which also helped me seeing where we were going week by week, because it went through the year, for any year, and talked about where we were going with the yearly flow of events. And in fact, it was helpful to the point that I'm thinking of just reading through it again myself this year. So, now, how about the heart part? I realized when I saw the bulletin cover that a clue to this part is there too. See this? Be open, being opened. Some time ago, I read an article that gave me some wisdom from a respected resource, Mr. Rogers. He wrote that when in seminary, he attended a church service with a fellow seminary student. All through that sermon, he admitted he was critiquing it and finding it wanting. But after the service, his companion just gushed about the wonderful sermon and how it was just what she needed to hear that day. And Mr. Rogers confessed that he had an epiphany, realizing that part of our job when we come to church is to be ready to take part, to be open. I used to sit next to a retired pastor's wife in choir. I noticed that she always took notes on the sermon, so I started to do that as well. It really helps me to hear more clearly and to capture, I hope, the message they really are meant to take home and to be changed by. I'm alert for that call to change. How will I be different because of this time together? A friend whose first job in the 80s, or in the 60s actually, was with IBM, shared IBM's advice about how to succeed. Be at work, dressed for work, ready to work. I don't plan to give any advice on dress, but I think the rest of it is spot on, at least for me, when I come to church. Each week I come to church having read the lessons and some commentary about them, and Pastor Farrell's message, and having studied the bulletin provided online. Then when I come into the sanctuary, I try to really be here and be changed by what happens. So that is how I prepare my heart for worship.